Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you my April wrap-up video. In the month of April I only read 7 books, which is still a lot, but it's not as much as my usual this year because I got into a huge bookish hangover because I finished this beautiful series by Maggie Stiefvater, and then I kind of fell into the world of fan fiction for the first time. And yes, I was into the deep end and I literally only read fanfiction for the last half of the month. But anyway, that's another story. Let's get right on to the books that I managed to read in the month of April. So some of the first books I read in the month were Blue Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater and The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater as well. These two are the last books in the Raven Cycle series, and I have been buddy reading the whole series with a friend on Instagram called The Travelling Bookworm, and I absolutely loved the last 2 books. I cannot decide if the last book was my favourite or this one was my favourite in the series. They just kept getting so much better. So much happens in the end. I was literally fangirling Adam Parrish is Bay, and because Adam Parrish features so much in these books and his storyline just gets so something. I cannot even put it into words that I just love these 2 books, okay? I'm going to tell you what this series is about because I've talked about it so much in past wrap-ups, but if you check out my last wrap-up, link to that down below, you could get a bit of a synopsis about what the Raven Cycle series is about. After finishing those 2, I immediately went on to read the Kindle novella called Opal by Maggie Stiefvater. It's after The Raven King, but it's before this next trilogy that she's writing, and it's really from this character called Opal's point of view, and Adam is featured some more, and it's really short, just a couple of pages, but I read it, I enjoyed it, I loved it. It was slightly frustrating because it was more, which is what I wanted, but it also wasn't enough because I just need to read everything about this series. So now I'm anxiously waiting with the rest of the fandom and the fan girls and boys for the new trilogy that she is writing. It cannot be here soon enough. Then I also read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I don't really read horror, this was the first for me. It's set in 1988 and it's about these 2 best friends, Abby and Gretchen, and one night they decide to take drugs and Gretchen gets possessed by this devil. She starts to do some really disturbing things to the people around her, and because Abby is the one who loves her the most, she feels a deep special need to target Abby and make her life horrendous. And it's about Abby trying to get rid of this devil, hence the title My Best Friend's Exorcism. I did not expect to like this book as much as I did. It totally creeped me out, to the max creeped me out. I didn't expect it because what happens is this book, the beginning at least, is just so realistic in the way that it is horror, that it can actually happen in real life, and that's why it freaked me out to the max. People could hate you enough to manipulate everything around you to make you look like the bad person. But then of course it delves into the more demon exorcism side of things, and I could totally, distance myself from the reality of it a bit, but I still did quite enjoy this novel. The only thing I didn't like was the ending. I felt like it was all a bit too happily ever after and everything gets better too easily, but other than that I did manage to really enjoy reading this one. Then for my university course I also had to read Unica Looking at the Sea by Fernando Castro. I've been trying to read more Latin American literature, and this is a Latin American translated novel. It's set, I think it's set in Brazil, and it's about these people who live next to this huge pile of rubbish. Basically, they live in the rubbish dump and they are sorting through it to find things that they can resell to have a little bit of money. So it's about poverty, about the environment as well, because they're living on a rubbish dump, and especially I think it just says something about humanity as well, because there's Unica, who used to be a teacher, who's fallen from grace and now is forced to live there, and she's trying to make it the best that she can. It's such a sad, heartbreaking novel. As I was reading further and further, my heart was literally breaking for the main characters and their storyline, and it literally is just so sad. And I feel like it's so sad how there's a side of humanity that just doesn't want to see poverty, doesn't want to see what's happening to the environment, and don't feel the need to do anything about it other than continue living their privileged and lives that are just going well, ignoring how they could end up in this new reality as well. I feel like there's so much deeper meaning to this book that I cannot wait to analyse it with my class when I get back to uni. And then I also continued on to read The Poet X by Elizabeth Afekito. I read this one after reading The Raven Cycle, so I wish that I could have loved it more than I did, but it only semi had my attention because I was stuck in a major bookish hangover. It's a novel in verse, and it's set again in Latin America, and it's about this girl who lives in a very strict religious family, who lives with very strict parents, but she has started to have conflicting views to her parents. She wants something else for her life, and she starts writing poetry. And I think it just fits so well with it being a novel in verse, told from the perspective of a poet, and as someone who considers herself a poet, I really did enjoy reading the poetry. I wasn't very engaged until about halfway through. The second half of the book I absolutely loved. I think it was great. It discusses a lot of important topics and themes. I'm not sure how I feel about all of it, but this is something rather to discuss in a full-blown review. However, I thought that the discussion about LGBT plus themes, about religion and, you know, hand-me-down religion, like your parents' religion applying to you, was interesting to read about. I also was very interested in the curvy girl representation, the hair representation, the feminism representation, and it was just all very interesting to read. In the end, I really liked the book and I rated it 4 stars. The last book that I finished in April, which I actually finished on April 30th, was The Girl in the Broken Mirror by Savita Kalan. This is a book about a girl called Jay who was 15 years old, and this is the story of how she got raped and what she did after the rape incident. As well as that, this is also about a cultural clash between Indian, British culture, and how there's some people who have traditional Indian views and more westernized culture in her as well, and those two just don't seem to really mesh together very well. I didn't expect this book to be about rape, and it was very emotional and hard-hitting when I read it, so I have a trigger warning for rape, sexual assault and suicide if you're going to read this book, but it was very well written and a very moving and thought-provoking read, so I just have to recommend it. I actually have a full-blown review of this book on my blog, so if you want to check out my thoughts about this a bit more, you can head over to that link down below. So those are all the books that I read in the month of April, and I would love to know what you read in the month of April. What was your favourite read or your least favourite read? Just let me know in the comment box down below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. Thank you so much for watching, see you in the next one. Goodbye. Unica Looking at the Sea by... let's check who it's by. Acevedo? I hope I pronounced that right. I literally, as I was reading further and further, why can I say that?